I'm Margaret in Windsor, and I give this to let people know where I'm coming from, and if they want to view my videos, and I'm on Facebook also. I want to put this up this morning in response to a question I got on YouTube from a young lady. Uh, I wanted to go back to this one, mind control murder. I had written the book, started the book about mind control in 1976, and it goes back to the Tesla files that were stolen in 1930. And the odd part about it is I've worked for doctors, and I knew that certain deaths were due to mind control, use of mind control as a murder weapon, but they were done in patterns. This gets into me meeting, well, I don't put his, well, yeah, Dr. Jonas Robertser. He was head of law and psychiatry. Let me correct that. I actually didn't meet him that I'm aware of. I wish I could have. Anyway, indirectly, and I don't know how, he mentioned 10 of my cases that in the book I wrote on mind control. And this is when Larry Flint was shot in Lawrenceville, Georgia. I was doing the book 76 until they almost killed me in 80, April Fool Day of 80. Now, Jonas Robertser, there's so few, I would think, really good souls, and he was one of them, stuck his neck out. His last book was Power of Psychiatry, I believe, and he mentioned my cases in the back of that. I'm mentioning him because part of he sending someone, but he had to have known about me to put that my cases in the back of his book. He didn't list my name, but it went a roundabout way. And then later I spoke with his wife after he died. I was back in Huntsville, and I called and I spoke with his nephew, I believe it was. Very nice young man back. Yeah, this was back in about 82. And his wife had been given, what is it, when you replace your husband, like Senate, or you're given a complimentary, I can't remember, I'm sorry, but anyway, she was working, had an office there where her husband had been, Robertshire. And I think Jimmy Carter become professor of law and had an office nearby. I believe I'm correct on the timing. I'm giving this a little bit of background, and I'm going to just cut to it because one of the cases, and I'm going to go ahead and put it up. I didn't mean to when I started this. One of the cases, Dr. Roberts referred Gene Schrokerman to my attorney, Eugene Kaiser. Now, Eugene Kaiser had been a former Fulton County district attorney in Atlanta, well known and well thought of. He was my attorney briefly, and so this was kind of given to him. And then Jean Schrokerman, she was referred by Robertshire. Okay, she was suing a doctor for medical malpractice. I think it was rape, excuse me if that's not it. I think it was inappropriate and rape what he did. Okay, now she goes to work for a doctor. This becomes so, for God, why couldn't they have stopped all this and printed it? It is so absurd that it's been allowed to go on, all this mess. I could not, for those who don't care to believe, I don't know how you think you don't believe, because I couldn't make it up. There's timelines, and I had the deposition on her death. Well, before she died, when she was, my attorney told me he was going to do the legal work on my book, and it never got published because they almost killed me April Fool Day of 80. Anyway, he gave me a deposition, and he said he couldn't give me any more because it was illegal. The police came in and took all of Jean Schrokerman's files. By the way, her daughter went to school up here in University of Virginia, I believe, in Charlottesville, and became a doctor. I've never met her or heard from her, but I know she did. So I don't know if she knows about this, or I don't know. Anyway, Jean went to work at Piedmont Hospital, where so much of this took place, some of it. Larry McDonald was congressman doctor. He was urologist there, and I think his family were quite prominent. Then you get into a group of doctors that were on my side. They were nice people, honest, and what can I say? Anyway, Dr. Hardiman, Gene Schrokerman, went to work for Dr. Hardiman at Piedmont Hospital. Jean was later on Christmas Eve. Now, I don't know if this was in 77, and a lot of records get changed. They really do. Even on Google or whatever, they get altered after a bit. So, I don't know, you could try Googling Jean Schrokerman and her murder. It would have been Christmas Eve of 76, probably. I don't think it's 77, but that, give or take a year or two. She was on Christmas Eve. Someone went in. He would have had to have been one of the program shooters, I would believe. I don't know I don't know that they ever found him. Oh, didn't it? Maybe they did. I don't know. She was blown apart up against the wall by the Christmas tree at Piedmont Hospital Christmas Eve of 76 in that time span. Now, the Dr. Hardiman and I've almost been killed down there, and it was quite odd how my husband told me about he'd never been to a psychiatrist that I know of. He went to Dr. Hardiman, and I believe he was asked to go. He went there, and Hardiman started asking him how much he knew about Gene Schrokerman's murder and what I was writing. And now my husband told me that. And later, Dr. Bill Heron, or who I thought was Bill Heron, I later saw a photograph of the real Bill Heron, and he didn't look like the man that I had talked to, and met back then. But this man, saying he was Bill Heron, actually called me just before they almost killed me, April Fool Day of 80. Now, his connection, I think, anyway, there's a real Bill Heron that's dead now, physician. And he worked at Piedmont Hospital. I don't know if he's friends with Dr. Hardiman or not. Dr. Hardiman he was connected to Carol Johnson, a lady who tried to help me, was going to help me in the book. Not the way I thought she was. I thought she was going to help me with some medical part of it, and I'm getting a long drawn out, and I didn't mean to. But anyway, she was a nice lady. She was from where my mom was born in Madison, Wisconsin. And anyway, Gene Schrokerman, when I was telling Carol about my book and how it was going, she was going to help me with it later. I thought editing and about medical, because she was in the medical field. Anyway, she kind of made a mess out of it, to tell you the truth. I never understood that. I really didn't. Except I think she became afraid for her job or something. In fact, she mentioned that later on. Anyway, she was concerned when I was telling her about Gene Schrokerman and Dr. Hardiman, because I had come in contact with the info from my attorney. But this is before she died. Schrokerman was killed. I was talking to Carol, and she communicated with Schrokerman and Hardiman. So here I am telling her, and I don't think she wasn't friends of Hardiman. I think she was a nice lady. She just decided that maybe, so where am I going with this? I'm trying to tell about connections there, and then I'm going to get to this. And that's just a little background on that. And plus the attorney, Gene Kaiser. Years after 1970, let's see, what was it, 1976, 77, I tried to reach him several times, and he died later on. And I do know this, I tried to call back, and, he's deceased, but he kept a phone number that I called, and I've forgotten really what the message was. But you don't really, for years, keep a phone number when you're deceased and you're no longer in practice. So I think he tried to do all he could in all of this mess. Anyway, what I want to say before it goes off, I know, and that probably will flip me off there, turning it. I don't know why it gets bleeped out at times or something, if it's my turning it around or not. But anyway, I wanted to get, anyway, just before I was almost killed, the person I thought that was Bill Heron called me a couple of nights before. And I think back about that, he asked me, he said, "How much do you know about the murder of Gene Schrokerman?" He knew I was doing the book and everything. So now that I'm going to skip till after April Fool Day of 80, and I was shoved into a car and should have died, what they did to me, by that woman who killed her twins, and I was placed there and had to use the twins' name, Peggy. I still do. Okay, I go to a doctor, and I'm not going to mention his name. He's one of the few good souls, really, like Jack Hartsfield, etc. I went to him because I needed. Oh yeah, I remember. He's family practice, and I had worked for him prior to being married. I worked on the weekend because I worked at a electronic firm for a year. I worked there for Huntsville Clinic. And this doctor was there, and he was one of the good ones. They had a meanie there, too. Oh, wow. I still remember his name. Anyway, I get married, and later, a few years later, we're back there after I had my sons. I go to work for him again at the hospital clinic. So I got to know him because he was very kind and good, and everybody loved him. So I'm back there in 1980, and he's still in practice, so I go to him. And you know, the odd thing is, I would have been afraid to say anything because you get tuned out if you know what I mean, telling what I'm telling. Some people do. Some people readily say, "Oh, we believe you, we know." And I don't see how anyone could think I could make all of it up. And anyway, he was one that broached the subject to me. I'm sitting there. He's a wonderful man. And he said something about, I don't know if he said, "Tell me about what you know about Steve McQueen's murder," or I don't know how he broached it, the subject, which shocked me. And anyway, he was telling me what I'd already said, that Steve McQueen was one of the murderers using mind control. He told me that there was a video of them killing him, he was killed in Mexico, taking over the state line. Now, who was he married to? He just done a movie and married to that, her husband was a producer. I can't remember her name. But anyway, I don't know what somebody's going to say about this. They'll probably call me a liar too, which is not true. I heard it myself. I think it was played on a station in Huntsville. I was still in Huntsville when I heard it. And it's gross. I mean, it's scary as heck. I have not heard it since. But you could visualize what they were doing to that man, okay? Now, there was something else, don't let me forget it. Okay, I told about Steve McQueen. Oh, this is one, and this one is one of those that can be easily, I would think, yeah, because of the timeline and everything, would be proven, is Natalie Wood. The actress, she was doing Brainstorm, the movie, and they had to use a double in the end because she was murdered. It's how you can feel each other's pain or, thoughts or etc. And she was killed just prior. And now then, I don't know if people know it, but her husband, Wagner, or ex-husband, is, I don't know if he's ever been charged or not. But I said way back then, if you ever know where I was working, who I was working with, and all that, it can prove, one of those that can be proven, that it was mind control used in it. I think Christopher Walken played in that too. And here's one other added thing I'll say to this. My husband, one of his friends that I met in Huntsville, and we became friends. His wife and he and well, they were friends of my husband, and of course, we became friends. He was one of the three top movie stars. He only made one or two movies. One of them was kind of big, but he didn't have that big a part. But I remember he was with Tab Hunter. They were Tab Hunter, Robert Wagner, and John Acey. I'll go ahead and say his name. Were the three top box or office draws, and they were good looking. And John Acey was really nice. Well, how can I describe him? Clean cut, good looking man. And I don't know. It's later that all this, that Bob Wagner married Natalie Wood, and then later she was killed. So anyway, he was supposed to have been charged about a year ago. Now, I don't know if he has been or not, but he didn't do it. So that's all I have to say right here. Losing my voice and hearing here.